I'm with Papa Henry, and we're reading Captain Daley's Crew at Thunderhead Lake by Craig Massey. What happened last time? Do you remember?
They went up to hunt to the mountain to camp out.
Okay, they went to camp out on the mountain, and then what?
They didn't believe Rufus that there was a man there.
Okay, they didn't believe that there was a man coming up the mountain. What else?
They stayed at those people's house.
They stayed at some nice people's house, and what else?
They saw purple and red horses.
Yeah, who was it? Pudge and Rufus came screaming that they saw purple and different colored horses, right? All right, now, this chapter is called Mysterious Pouch, chapter 8. Well, Pudge, if you say you saw two horses, and one of them was yellow with purple spots, and the other was blue with red and orange spots, I'll believe you. But one thing is certain, I want to see them for myself, Slim exclaimed. Come on, challenged Pudge. If they're still there, you can see them. Rufus sort of held back. Now, fellers, let's not go getting into trouble. Them there colored horses ain't going to like to be peered at by strangers. No telling what they'll do. Fraidy cat, Slim laughed. I ain't scared of nothing in these here woods. I ain't. Rufus, I warned. He stopped, came over, grabbed my hand, and off we went toward the band of wild horses. I think they should be up ahead if they haven't stampeded, Pudge said, moving slow and cautious-like. They's going to run us down, Rufus whimpered. Chuck and I, with Rufus dragging behind, rounded a sharp twist in the trail. In a flash, I saw them, two of the gaudiest horses a fellow ever imagined. Their fiery red eyes were staring right at us. Their tails were flowing back in the wind. They're coming for us, Rufus screamed. They aren't moving. Chuck squinted at the strange beasts. He took a few steps forward. I followed. Then we saw what it was all about. Chuck called to Pudge. Those horses of yours are nothing but part of a broken down merry-go-round left here from the old summer resort. I can sure tell you we all laughed and laughed. Pudge and Rufus stood looking as foolish as two cats with a rubber mouse. Fearless Pudge and Rufus capture two rare rainbow horses in the wilds of Upper Strombosia. After a wild battle, these men lead party to scene of action, Slim laughed. Aw, cut it out. You would have been fooled same as we were, Pudge defended. While we're here, why not explore the rest of the old resort? Chuck suggested. We did, and found three other horses painted crazy colors. Rufus crawled up on one of them and made believe he was a brave knight fighting a dragon. We finally left and tramped up the mountain trail. At the top, we spread out the lunch bags Mrs. Carter had given us. Rufus waited a moment and asked, Are you going to thank the Lord for this here food? Sure, Slim replied. And after Chuck asked the blessing, Rufus said, I reckon that's a pretty nice thing to do. It's one of the nicest things. It helps a fellow remember the Lord at least 3 times a day, piped up Pudge. From our lofty position, we saw the houseboat anchored on the lake. A tiny spiral of smoke twisted up from camp. A few white clouds drifted in the sky with a red-shouldered hawk flying in lazy circles round and round. We didn't leave the mountaintop until 3:30 when we saw the captain row out to Noah's Ark. Guess the captain's on his way, so we better scoot down, advised Chuck. Halfway down the Thunderhead Mountain Trail, near the place where we discovered the writing about the Indian ambush, Rufus stooped over and said, Which one of you fellows lost this here thing? It was a weather-beaten pouch of some sort, like a wallet, only longer. I never saw that before, I said. Me neither, the others joined in. Chuck took the thing and undid the flap in one end. It was crammed with papers. Carefully, he pulled one out. This is a map of the lake and surrounding country. That's some map. Why, it has every trail. And look at the way Thunderhead is marked, Slim exclaimed, studying the map. Here's where we are. See, the trail broadens where we found the writing. There's a spot above marked cave. Pudge pointed to the place. What else is in the pouch? I questioned. Some money. Chuck pulled out a bunch of bills. We counted them, and they added to $320. Wowee! Treasure! Pudge whispered. Let's not get excited. It's not ours. We must find the owner, Slim said. Chuck pulled out a few more papers and then gave a low, surprised whistle. Fellas, this thing belongs to our friend at the gas station and general store. Look at the name. Pudge read. Daniel L. Snapper. How in this old world did that big tubby man ever get this far up the mountain without dropping over? Pudge said. Quick as a wink, Slim shot back. You ought to know. You made it. Pudge ignored the crack, and I agreed he had a point. We hurried down the mountain and watched Noah's Ark chug toward us. We had plenty to tell the captain. When we did, he laughed at the wild horse story and sobered when he saw the pouch. Are you sure you didn't pass this on the way up? Sure, I got the best eyes in these here parts. I don't miss nothing. I ain't a scared of Roof, Slim warned. This does seem odd. Let's show the game wardens. They can return these things on their own to their owner, said Captain Daley, tugging on his snowy beard like he does when he's puzzled. Back at camp, Pudge got out his chipmunk and played with it. We watched for the silver plane, which was due because the wardens made the same rounds each day and flew on a schedule. The chipmunk cuddled in Pudge's hands, and then with a squeak it slipped out and dashed toward the woods. Pudge almost burst into tears with disappointment over his loss. And I loved that little fella so much, I wanted to take him home. Let's put Sniffles on the trail, suggested Slim. We didn't have to set the dog on the trail, however, because a few seconds later, the frisky chipmunk reappeared and scampered up to Pudge and hopped on his knee in the sweetest, cutest way I ever saw. Well, now, ain't that something? Rufus burst out, and none of us corrected him, because that sure was something. From then on, Pudge let Chippy run free, and even Sniffles didn't bother it. The dog must have known that he wasn't supposed to touch it, because after a few investigating sniffs, he turned and went to sleep. Within a half hour, we heard the silver plane drone in for a landing. We raced to the edge of the lake and waited until Dan and George taxied up and hopped to land. We found a clue, Pudge shouted. Good, what is it? Dan asked. Chuck handed the leather pouch to the warden, who opened it and studied the contents for a few minutes, handing each item to George. Well, this is something interesting, Dan said. It's all that, especially since our friend Mr. Snapper hasn't left the store in the last 2 days. He turned his ankle and has been laid up, George stated. But look at his first name, Daniel. Snapper's first name isn't Daniel, it's Robert. This map is one that was stolen from our plane one day when we left it on the lake, Dan explained. Zowie! We have a mystery now, Pudge almost shouted. I think we had better fly down to the courthouse in the county seat and check up on this party, Daniel Snapper or Robert Snapper or whatever his name. We'll leave this pouch here, and if you see Snapper, ask him about it. The men left with promise to return if anything new turned up. Let's take the houseboat down and show Snapper this pouch and see what he says, Pudge insisted. I think we better wait and see what the wardens find out, Captain Daley countered. All we did was try to work out the tangled pieces of mystery. First, the strange red plane, Snapper's warning, 2 explosions, the food robbery at camp, the leather pouch, not to mention the strange man Rufus claimed he saw. We ate supper and we were sitting around the fire when Slim motioned for us to stop talking. We did, and I heard a motor. "It's Dan and George coming back," Pudge said, leaping to his feet and making a dash toward the lake. "No," Slim called. "That's a motorboat." Within a few minutes, a motorboat plowed onto the lake from Snake River. Rufus recognized the occupant. "It's Mr. Snapper, and he don't like me none, and he's gonna hurt me." "Don't worry, Ruf. While we're around, no one will hurt you." Captain Daley put his arm around the trembling boy. Snapper steered up to camp and crawled out of the boat, slow and ponderous-like. His right ankle was wrapped in dirty rags. "Must be mighty important for him to want to see us with an ankle like that," Slim whispered. In a nasty, whining voice, Mr. Snapper snarled, "You old fool! Still risking these kids' lives by staying up here." "Nothing has happened yet, and I don't expect anything," Captain Daley replied kindly. The fat man slumped onto a fallen log and inspected the camp. "I see you got a little thief and liar in camp with you," he said, staring at Rufus. Poor little Rufus grabbed my hand, then stuttered, "Honest, Mr. Snapper, I never took your traps." Snapper's face got red. "Shut up, you fool!" "I thought no one was to trap around here," Slim piped up. "Mr. Snapper traps every year, and he said I stole his traps, but I didn't, and he says if he ever catches me alone, he's gonna beat me," Rufus half cried. Mr. Snapper's eyes glinted with anger. "That kid's the biggest liar around here. I never trapped." Pudge couldn't keep still any longer. He burst out, "Mr. Snapper, have you lost any money lately?" "Nope," came the answer. Then a shifty, fox-like look came over his face. "Why did you ask a question like that?" Pudge ran to the tent and returned with the pouch. I watched Snapper. A strange, frightened look passed over his face when he saw the pouch. With a roar, he lumbered to his feet and hobbled toward Pudge. "You give me my wallet, you dirty little thief!" Before we could explain, the man snatched the mysterious pouch and waddled toward the boat, grunting threats and curses that were enough to make a fellow's hair stand on end for shame. The next chapter is called Flying Sea Monsters.
What's a flying fish? Yeah.